Now, Dennis was convicted and sentenced to death in 1999 for killing University of Miami football player Marlon Barnes in 1996. Dennis was also convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend, Timwanika Lumpkins, in a jealous rage that same day.
The story being told centers on the case of Marlon Barnes and Timwanika Lumpkins. What follows is a list of music, television shows, and movie titles released throughout 1996, the same year the event unfolded. What's striking is how some of the titles, even some of the lyrics, seem to reflect the dynamics of the case, the relationship, the people involved, and statements made along the way. Some of these were present at the time, meant to be seen, heard, and experienced. Others arrived just after they would never get the chance to experience. Dennis, I lived with her. I loved her. We have a baby together. Our relationship was off and on. Lady by D'Angelo was released on March 5th. Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey was released on March 9th. Pony by Genuine was released on July 29th. One in a Million by Aaliyah was released on August 27th. Nobody by Keith Sweat featuring Athena Cage was released on September 17th. Dennis told investigators that the week before, they got into a fight because Lumpkins came home late, and Dennis believed she had been hanging out with Barnes. When Lumpkins moved out, Dennis was convinced she was staying with Barnes. Twisted by Keith Sweat was released on June 4th. Secrets by Toni Braxton was released on June 18th. If Your Girl Only Knew by Aaliyah was released on July 14th. Last Night by As Yet was released on July 30th. Before You Walk Out of My Life by Monica was released on August 3rd. Get Me Home by Foxy Brown was released on September 15th. Dennis told investigators that Lumpkins moved out. Barnes' mother said she was not surprised that Barnes helped Lumpkins get out of an abusive relationship. Not Gone Cry by Mary J. Blige, released on January 23rd. Hit Me Off by New Edition was released on July 29th. No Time by Lil' Kim was released on October 29th. Barnes' mother said that media coverage portrayed Barnes and Lumpkins as a couple behind Dennis's back, but they were just friends. She said Barnes was lending Lumpkins a helping hand because she asked. You're the One by SWV was released on March 29th. You're Making Me High, Let It Flow by Toni Braxton was released on May 21st. How Do You Want It? California Love by Tupac featuring Casey and JoJo was released on June 4th. The Investigation at Club Salvation. A witness, a woman who worked at a nearby gas station, told police she saw a man sitting in a gray Nissan in the parking lot. She asked him to leave. He wouldn't. When she called police, he left. When the police left, he returned to the parking lot. The car was registered to one of Dennis's girlfriends. I Can't Sleep by R. Kelly was released on June 21st. Unbreak My Heart by Toni Braxton was released on October 7th. And Dennis Totally Goes Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood was released on January 12th. A co-worker of Dennis lent him his mom's shotgun. Dennis left the bag in the bushes. When checked, investigators found a knife, clothing, and the shotgun, which had a damaged trigger guard. The Crossroads by Bone Thugs and Harmony was released on April 30th. I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly was released on November 26th. Investigators concluded that Dennis waited for Marlon to come out of the club. He couldn't control himself, so he slashed the tires. Dennis followed the tow truck, saw the car, and saw the building they went into. He then bought the shotgun. The shotgun didn't work, and investigators believe he was committed to ending them both that night. Bad Boy Records in 1996 was arguably the pinnacle of its dominance, marking a shift from its 1995 success into becoming the premier East Coast hit-making machine. With financial backing from Clive Davis, the label released key projects from 112 in total and saw Sean Puffy Combs begin recording his debut album. 1996 was crucial for building Bad Boy Mania. Marlon Barnes, hopeful of playing in the NFL. He was a second-string linebacker for the University of Miami Hurricanes football team. All Eyes on Me by Tupac was released on February 13th. The Score by the Fugees was released on February 13th. Woo-Ha! Got You All in Check by Busta Rhymes was released on February 15th. The Coming by Busta Rhymes was released on March 26th. Bachelor by Genuine was released on October 8th. Timwanika Lumpkins, a mother just trying to be the best mom she could be to her daughter. Brandy, starring as Moesha, first aired January 23rd. Il Nana by Foxy Brown was released on November 19th. Two beautiful and talented people, gone too soon. In 1996, an incident fueled by one man's jealousy left a lasting impact on two families and shook the University of Miami campus. This story involves one man and two lives lost. But what drove him to such lengths? Labrant Dennis was a man unable to let go. After his girlfriend, Timwanika Lumpkins, and the mother of their young child ended their 4-year relationship, he became embittered. Witnesses reported that he stalked and threatened Timwanika after the breakup. His escalating violence prompted her to seek a restraining order. His jealousy extended to Timwanika's friendship with University of Miami linebacker Marlon Barnes, a childhood friend. His possessiveness intensified as Timwanika asserted her independence. Witnesses noted his stalking behavior, such as tracking Timwanika and Marlon's interactions, including when Marlon helped her move out of the apartment she once shared with him. His jealousy reached a boiling point as he sought information about their relationship. On the night of April 12, 1996, Marlon, a well-liked figure on campus, attended a party with Timwanika at Club Salvation. Afterward, they discovered the tires on the borrowed car were slashed and waited for a tow truck to take them back to Marlon's place between 5:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. Between 7 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. on April 13th, Marlon's roommate Earl Little returned to their apartment to find a horrific scene. He discovered Marlon severely injured and barely alive, with evident signs of a brutal attack. Fearing the attacker might still be present, Earl sought help from a nearby friend and called 911. By the time the police arrived, Marlon had succumbed to his injuries. Inside the apartment, they found Timwanika in a bedroom, also gravely injured. Despite being rushed to the hospital, she too passed away, leading to a double homicide investigation. Both victims were unrecognizable due to the extensive injuries they suffered. Marlon had just celebrated his 22nd birthday a week prior. As the investigation unfolded, suspicion turned to Labrant Dennis. A week before the incident, he had argued violently with Timwanika, further fueling his rage. Although he denied involvement, police discovered a duffel bag containing his clothes and broken parts of a shotgun linked to the crime. On April 30th, 1996, with concrete evidence in hand, he was arrested. On September 8, 1998, a jury found him guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, sentencing him to death. Despite multiple appeals, on November 6, 2025, a Miami-Dade County jury recommended he be resentenced to life without parole, a decision that was upheld. Labrant Dennis, driven by jealousy and unable to control his emotions, robbed 2 families of their loved ones. He disregarded the life of his child's mother, Timwanika Lumpkins, and the dreams Marlon Barnes had of an NFL career. His actions, rooted in emotion, ended 2 lives that were simply trying to thrive. May Timwanika Lumpkins and Marlon Barnes continue to rest in peace.
I see my best friend that I always got to know. He laying in a pool of blood with his face crushed with so much blood.
Nearly 30 years later, Little was forced to reopen that painful memory, facing Labrant Dennis, the man convicted and sentenced to death in 1999 for killing Barnes. That same day, Dennis also murdered his ex-girlfriend, Timwanika Lumpkins, in a jealous rage. Both were found inside the apartment with unrecognizable injuries.
Put his head over a little bit, and that's when I was able to see what was done in his face, which I don't wish that on no one. And he was taking some deep breaths, but it was low. And he was gargling, like gargling on blood, like he was choking on blood. And it was just so much.
A jury sentenced him to life in prison Thursday after he was first sentenced to death nearly 30 years ago. Now, Dennis was convicted and sentenced to death in 1999 for killing University of Miami football player Marlon Barnes in 1996. Dennis was also convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend, Timwanika Lumpkins, in a jealous rage that same day. Both victims were found inside the apartment, beaten with unrecognizable injuries. The Florida Supreme Court vacated Dennis's death sentence in 2017, ruling that his prior sentence violated the Constitution because the jury's vote had not been unanimous.
We know that we will get justice for Marlon someday. We know that. So, you know, we love each other, and we're going to remain strong, and we're going to keep going.
What about us? What about my family? What about what we went through? How we had to watch my mom all these years struggle and suffer because of what he did.